is joining us along the Gulf Coast this morning. Still in Biloxi, Mississippi, as you were yesterday. It was a hot day in Mississippi. Mike, another hot start to the day, or at least warm. But the clouds, maybe that could keep some of the temperatures at bay, and maybe later some rain.
Well, also keep the infrared, the IR coming in, the burning rays, the A and Bs. Boy, I tell you what, it was hot out here yesterday. When we wrapped up, the heat index was 107, it was 95, and the temperature of the sand was about 120. So you get the picture. Luckily, we're not out here the whole hour. We get to take a break and get into the shady spot. But if there's no breeze and the heat index is 107, Britta, it's still pretty hot. Take a look at the sunrise this morning, again rising over the land this time of the year, and we do have some high cirrus and some mid-level stratus, mid-level alto now, a little bit of stratus in the distance coming in at us. So hopefully that'll block the sun, but we're still expecting temperatures today to top out in the mid-90s. We've got one lone fisherman out here on a very quiet morning on the Gulf, trying to catch something out here in the calm, almost calm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. And then we have the seagulls always foraging for food. We saw a bunch of them this morning around an old fast food wrapper. I don't think they got much out of that. Meanwhile, back on the beach today, it's going to be generally dry. We don't expect any storms here based on the latest high-res radar forecast until probably dinner time tonight. And then after that, the chances increase into a Thursday and Friday. There is a flood watch for these counties in southern Mississippi, including Hancock and Harrison and Pearl River. Those counties and many counties in southern Louisiana, south of the Mississippi line, Lake Pontchartrain, all the way down to the mouth of the Mississippi, west to Jennings, that includes Baton Rouge and New Orleans. All these areas under a flood watch, which officially kicks in at 1 p.m. today and runs until late Friday night. And in that time frame, we're going to have rain. Now, this system is not very organized. The lowest pressure is still hugging the coast, so it remains to be seen. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the hurricane hunters out of nearby Keesler scrub that flight again today. We'll see. We'll have to check in. We'll know by about 10 a.m. Eastern. But the bottom line is it's not over water. If it gets over water, it won't have much time to intensify. And even if it becomes a depression, the impacts do not change. We're talking about locally heavy rain, and some of those amounts could be upwards of 3 to 5, even 5+ inches, especially in southeast Louisiana. Remember, that's a very low-lying bayou setup, so flooding is very easy to be obtained, if that's verbally correct, grammatically correct, with less rain versus some areas, like here where we're standing on the beach. But with that said, the flood watch will be up, so be alert. Remember where your high ground is if you're in a flood-prone area. As far as temperatures this morning, Britta, you mentioned it's warm. It's 84 now at Keesler. The heat index is, 82. Dew point 74, heat index right now 88 degrees. So we're going all the way up with the heat index again, 105 or better. And I've worn this nice dark colored shirt. I'm going to feel every bit of it today.
I hope, yesterday, Mike, you were talking about how we had to maybe reapply that sunblock. The heat is brutal, even by Gulf Coast standards, right? And any relief that we get would likely be in the form of some rain. It's going to be a long road ahead, 24, 48 hours, where we're looking at some of the heaviest rain. But until then, another morning, look how calm it is. I know yesterday we were talking about how the water looked a little bit more like maybe a lake, not the Gulf, right?
Yeah, and this is not unusual this time of the year. Many times I've come down here for storms and 2 or 3 days before, and this is not a tropical storm or hurricane that's already out there in the Gulf and already sending wave action towards the coast. We don't have anything like that. This barely has any wind with it. I saw a ship report off the coast of a 15-mile-an-hour wind. So with that said, the wind is what creates the waves, or the transfer of energy from the air down to the surface of the water. So without wind, we don't get the waves. And we'll probably get a little ripple later on. And actually, yesterday afternoon, Britta, the sea breeze, or the Gulf breeze, it did set up around 1 o'clock, and we did get a breeze from the southwest, which took a bit of the edge off the heat, but you had to be right next to the Gulf to feel any kind of relief. And remember, when the heat is radiating off the sand at 120 to 125 degrees, it's even hotter. It feels even hotter than the 107 actual heat index.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining. It's just the facts, ma'am. That's just the way it is. It's Biloxi and it's July.
Exactly, right? It's towards the end of the July. I saw you taking the temperature of the sand yesterday. I think a lot of us can relate to running across the sand without our flip-flops and sandals and feeling the burning underneath. We'll watch. We'll pay attention. Biloxi, Mississippi, one of those spots that's going to probably be feeling a lot of that rain, and we'll be paying attention. Appreciate that update. Mike Seidel out there in Biloxi, Mississippi. We have Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel, who is joining us along the Gulf Coast in Biloxi, Mississippi. Mike, you were here yesterday. We do have a flood watch for Biloxi, but in the meantime, until that rain arrives, the story has been just how hot and humid and how stagnant the air has really been.
Guess what? Right now, this is breaking on Fox Weather. I feel a breeze. Gosh.
Makes me happy for you.
It's been hot out here. Yeah, it's hot. And yesterday, we actually had a breeze off the Gulf, but you had to get all the way down here and basically put your toes in the water to feel it. A little bit of a Gulf breeze set up, but it was after 1 o'clock. And it took just a little bit of an edge off the heat, because yesterday we hit 95 and the heat index topped out at 107 at Gulfport, the airport, and also at Keesler. Right now we're in the mid-80s, 84, 85. The heat index is getting close to 90. We have some cirrus clouds thinning the sunshine, but it's going to be another blistering hot day. We have the heat advisory from 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. The Gulf is very, very quiet again this morning. We've got a sailboat way out there, but very, very tame waters. This is not a system that's coming at us from south of here or southeast of here like we typically deal with tropical storms and hurricanes, thank goodness. So we don't have any waves propagating towards the coast. So it's all about what kind of wind we have here. And like I said, not much right now, about 5 or 6 miles an hour from the north and northwest. Let's talk about what we're going to get here. Well, today it seems unlikely. Based on the latest forecast, we're going to have any rain before probably 5 or 6 o'clock. So temperatures today back in the mid-90s. Heat index values 105 to 110. Then tonight into Thursday and Friday, we have the increasing threat for rain and thunderstorms. Now, the latest high-res radar forecast for tomorrow does show thunderstorms tonight and tomorrow and into Friday, but it's not an all-day rain. I just talked to some tourists from Pennsylvania, and they were thinking an all-day rain. I said, I don't think it's going to rain all day tomorrow. Yes, we're going to get rain. We will have heavy downpours, some gusty winds and lightning and thunder. But right now, it doesn't look like a solid shield of rain like we would have from a more organized system. Now, that could change if the low pressure can organize a little bit before it goes into Louisiana later tomorrow. We'll see how that shakes out. We're also waiting word on the hurricane hunters to see if they're going to go out and do this mission here later on this morning from nearby Keesler Air Force Base. Rainfall totals could top out at 3 to 5 here in these southern Mississippi counties, Hancock, Jackson, Pearl River, Hancock, these counties here, and over into Louisiana. That's where we have the flood watch there and here, Louisiana, including Baton Rouge and New Orleans, and as far west as Jennings, down to Grand Isle, and all those bayou areas which are very prone to flooding from freshwater rainfall because they're low-lying and there's just nowhere for the water to go. So, Marissa, just out here with the sunscreen on, plenty of water, and keeping an eye on the radar forecast and the local radar. But right now, the closest storms are about 100 miles well off to the south. In fact, this morning we got here before sunrise, and you could see quite a bit of lightning in the distance, but nothing imminent here. And I mentioned the timing right now would be the first storms popping, say, around 5 or 6, and after that this evening.
Yeah, we were looking at satellite radar and even some of the enhanced satellite, visible satellite. It looked like some of the outflow boundaries from the storms offshore in the Gulf were trying to make their way up to you in Biloxi. We'll look at it later, but I mean, regardless, a lot of the activity is offshore, and we'll likely be seeing some of this fill in as we get further into the day. It's a hurry up and wait, Mike, and you know more than anybody, I think, because you headed out to Biloxi. You were there yesterday dealing with the heat, and we're getting a little bit closer to that flood risk, but not expecting really anything, at least the more intense rain, probably into tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow night and Friday. And again, it's just a wait and see, but the odds are certainly lowering that we're going to have a development into certainly a tropical storm. And whether we get a depression or not, the impacts remain the same. We'll see if the plane goes out shortly, and we'll see what happens in the next 24 hours. But the lowest pressure seems to be still right over land, right on the coast there, off to the west, rather east and north of Apalachicola. And I haven't had a chance to take a good look. I know you have at the visible satellite loop, because we've just had a few pictures come in after sunrise to see if we can find that low-level spin that we were watching yesterday as it moved across the northern Florida peninsula. But you know, when you have a system that's barely there coming over land, it doesn't have really any reason to intensify without being over the open waters. So if it does get back out of the open waters before it gets into Louisiana, it has some window of opportunity to become a depression.
All right, and that's what we wait on. That's what we wait on. Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel joining us out of Biloxi, Mississippi, where, as he mentioned, hurricane hunters are going to be heading out of Keesler Air Force Base later today. Thanks, Mike. All right. To the storm later this afternoon. Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel is along the Gulf Coast this morning. He's joining us out of Biloxi, Mississippi. Biloxi, by the way, as you know, Mike, where the hunters will be flying out later today. I think they're scheduled to take off around 1 o'clock this afternoon Eastern time. So they'll be doing what they need to do. You there at the beach where it is hot, at least until that rain starts.
I'm doing what I have to do. Stay hydrated. I got plenty of sunscreen on, Marissa, and hopefully today it doesn't run into my eyes, because that is a very uncomfortable, stinging sensation. We got the seagulls out here this morning crowing, looking for a snack, and we've got, look at this. This is not Lake Winnipesaukee. This is not the Great Salt Lake. This is the Gulf, and it's hard to find just a little ripple. Looks about not even an ankle slapper right here. High tide is right now 6 minutes after the hour. Low tide's another 12 hours from now. Remember, this part of the Gulf Coast sometimes only has one high tide a day, and the tidal change is about a foot. Some days less, some days a little bit more. And because we don't have a storm coming at us, it's already out there that has developed. We don't have any waves, what we call swell, propagating towards the beaches. So this is why we have the lake this morning. Maybe we'll get a bit of a sea breeze or Gulf breeze this afternoon. We had that yesterday. It took a little bit of edge off the heat, but here it is, 9 a.m. Central Time, slow time here in Biloxi, and the temperature at Keesler is 87, and the heat index is already 97 degrees. So we've got to have another hot, humid afternoon. There is that heat advisory for this area until 7 p.m. this evening, when things will finally cool down, because we've got storms coming in. The short-range models, including the HRRR, which we look at all the time, the high resolution rapid refresh, easy for me to say, that's a good tongue twister, is showing storms developing about 4 to 5 o'clock and going until about 10 or 11 o'clock this evening. So it's very aggressive, and some of the other mesoscale hurricane models also popping up storms. We just got off the phone with our meteorologist Greg Diamond back in New York, and we're talking about what's going to happen. So we're going to be here to show you what's going to happen, or what will happen later this afternoon into mid-evening here in Biloxi along the Gulf Coast. So a good beach day. For the most part, we've got some clouds that'll take a little edge off the, at least, heat. Temperature probably will still be mid-90s, but you know, when you got at least some block from the clouds, it doesn't feel as blistering hot. And then late this afternoon, watch for those storms to bubble up with some very heavy rain and probably quite a bit of lightning. Right now, the storms, I checked off to the south, generally south and a little southeast, are out there, but you can't see them. They're way out there over the waters, about 125 to 130 miles. So they're way out there. Now, early this morning, before it got light out here, we could see the flashes of lightning. So we have this system. Whatever it becomes, a depression or not, the same impacts. Locally heavy rainfall, flood watches out for these coastal communities, these counties, Jackson, Hancock, Harrison County, Pearl River County, the 4 counties here in Mississippi, and then a bunch of counties in Louisiana, including Lake Pontchartrain to Baton Rouge to Jennings to New Orleans to Grand Isle, down to Slidell, and down all the way to the mouth of the Mississippi. All that area under a flood watch from 1 p.m. this afternoon until Friday night. So we've got a couple of days of locally heavy rain, and right now it would seem that the highest totals are going to be in the state of Louisiana. We're saying 3 to 5. Some areas may get 5 or more. This is a low-lying area, very flood-prone. Now, we're not talking about surge. And so the walls and the berms, that's not going to help. It's all about freshwater flooding with rain coming down and just sitting and standing. So those are the areas, and we'll have Robert Ray and crew coverage from there starting first thing tomorrow morning in Louisiana to keep you updated on the situation there. Back here, we're going to have rainfall too, potentially 3 inches, Marissa. But in the meantime, we just watched the temperature and the heat index go up here in beautiful Biloxi, Mississippi. And we're out here at Shaggy's Restaurant for protection. Great protection, and I can already smell the seafood wafting my way because we actually, once again today, have a little bit of a north wind coming off the land. I can smell the shrimp, the royal reds, the tuna, the crab fingers. Oh my gosh, I hope that makes your mouth water.
Drooling just a little bit. You should see Stephen Morgan. He's getting real sloppy. It's so funny. So you know the food's starting because you can hear the seagulls overhead. So when you said they were eyeing a snack, we assumed it was you. But really, you just meant the seafood overhead, right? Do you think
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm their type. But you know what? I was doing a live shot once on another network, and I'm standing there doing my shot, and I heard something like that. It just hit my cap. And yep.
No. Yep. It pooped on you.
It was right there. It bombed. It bombed my live shot, and I slowed it down, and you could see.
Oh, so
anyway.
So you're saying,
just
Mike,
one of those stories.
I thought so you're saying the bird actually flew into you. I thought you were saying it went to the bathroom on you, which is actually good luck. If it hits you, I don't know what that is.
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not Fabio on a roller coaster at Busch Gardens. No, this is just a poop.
Oh, okay, it was a poop. Okay. Mike, they say that is good luck. It's happened to me before, and actually, I found out like a week later. I got into college. Anyway, regardless, you know what? We need good luck in Biloxi. We need good luck. We'll see what the flood threat brings. I hope you get a snack.
We need good luck all season. We don't want anything like last year. We got little depressions or tropical storms, fine, but let's see if we can keep it going. But, you know, that's a lot to ask for here in the middle part of July. But we'll be back in an hour with more updates on the hurricane hunters and also the short-range forecast for the storms here later on this afternoon. All right, Mike, appreciate you always. We'll check back in with you as you hang out at Biloxi, Mississippi, you and the Seagulls, of course. All right, and watch out for what could be dropping from a weather storm specialist Mike Seidel planted right there along the Gulf Coast there yesterday morning when we had the heat advisory, Mike. This morning, winds, as you mentioned, picked up a little bit. And is that a person I see a couple of people today, a couple of people at the beach. Yes, and I just got word from our friends at NHC. They canceled the mission for today. We slipped the 1130Z fixed mission to a 15Z invest, but I'm not going to be surprised if we end up not flying at all on this. So we'll see what goes, but it's not going out right now. So that's not surprising based on what we see with the system kind of hugging land. It's really not developing. So that's where we stand there. We can do our analysis from looking at the visible satellite photo and the radar, and then look at the forecasts, which are all pointing out to a lot of rainfall along the Mississippi coast and especially in southeastern Louisiana, New Orleans, Baton Rouge, all the way down to the Gulf Coast, including Grand Isle, and all those bayou communities like Plaquemines and all those parishes there south of New Orleans. Remember, that's a very flat area, very little elevation. We're talking about freshwater flooding. We're not talking about a surge and worried about flood walls and berms. It's all about what comes out of the sky into your neighborhood. So keep in mind, if you're in a risky spot for some spots that say get 5 or 6 inches of rain over 3 or 4 hours, remain vigilant and keep those alarms on your phone turned on and keep that NOAA weather radio nearby in case the cell service goes out. Yes, we've got some kids in from North Louisiana enjoying the beach this morning. Look at those wave heights. Gosh, I hope they don't get swept out. We got about, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches. The water temperature very nice. It's bath water, 87, and we scan out over the Gulf, and in the distance, more than 100 miles, about 100 miles south to southeast, we've got some storms out there. They're all moving towards Louisiana, the southern and southeast coast. We've had some rain there this morning, basically where people don't live. But all the models in the short range are indicating we're going to get storms blowing up here later on this afternoon after, say, 4 or 5 p.m. until late this evening. So we've got about a 5 or 6 hour window where the models are indicating we're going to have some gully washers here, gusty winds, lots of lightning, and those tropical downpours from this Invest 93L. And the flood watches are up as of 1 today for these counties in southern Louisiana, Gulfport, Biloxi, Pascagoula, and then up towards Pearl River County, and then all those counties in the state of Louisiana south of the Mississippi line, and that includes the Big Easy and the areas I mentioned before. Some areas could get more than 5 inches of rain between now and Friday night. That's when the flood watch expires. So we've got a long stretch there. If it rains 5 inches every 2.5 days, as long as it doesn't fall all in, say, 2 or 3 hours, that really helps out the drainage situation and lowers the threat of flash flooding. In the meantime, Marissa, it's all about the heat today. 89 now at Keesler, dew point 76. I didn't have a chance because the ob just came in before you threw to me. I'm guessing the heat index is about 102 or 103. But that's a pretty high, that's a pretty stifling dew point, and temperatures today again in the mid-90s. We were hoping more clouds would come in yesterday by this point, but not going to happen in the next few hours. So count on the dangerous heat index and stay hydrated. And if you're out here, you got to throw on lots of sunscreen. And remember, the sand temperatures yesterday, like today, will be at least 120 degrees on your bare feet. So try to avoid any first-degree burns.
I thought it was interesting that you did that. Just on a side note for beach safety, when you took a temperature, the temperature of the sand and how hot it can get. But also to your earlier point, Mike, the heat index is right around 100 degrees out of Keesler Air Force Base. Humidity, it is high. We have dew points in the upper 70s. You know, the challenge, right, is getting through the day with the heat. Thank you for bringing to our attention the flight. I was telling Stephen, you know, with the hunters scrapping the flight again today, we just don't have anything over water. So is it a good sign or a bad sign? I'm not sure it's that it's any sign, but it does speak to the lack of quick organization and the fact that this is still over land.
Yeah, and the forecast, it's the Hurricane Center make the call. They don't see any real need because where we are right now, what the models are saying, and like you said, where it is, and you also save, you know, you save some gas. I mean, you think about that economically in these times. We'll save on some gas for another flight, and you know there's going to be. They do have another flight scheduled for tomorrow. Remains to be seen if that flies, as our friends at the Hurricane Center said.
Yeah. Yeah, we can all relate to the expense when it comes to filling up the fuel tank. But yeah, appreciate that, Mike. Nice to see actually some people outside today making use of the warmth and having a little bit of fun. You know, all you need to do is give a kid a bucket and a shovel, and they're good to go. That's all it takes. Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel out of Biloxi, Mississippi. That's right. That's it. Thanks, Mike. So Invest 9.
They're live in Biloxi, where he's following the system's progress, and so far, doesn't get any lovelier than that on the beach right there. Mike, how's it looking right now?
Yeah, not a whole lot of progress with this particular Invest. In the meantime, we talk heat. Once again here in Biloxi and the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, heat index values topping 105. Yesterday, 107. Right now at Gulfport, 91, dew point 75. Heat index at GPT, 102. It may be a little bit higher at Keesler. They hadn't come in with a new ob just a moment ago. Speaking of Keesler, they scrubbed the flight today, the Hurricane Hunter flight, much like yesterday. They've got another one tasked for tomorrow. We'll see if that goes out, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't fly into this at all based on what we're seeing and where it is, and save some gas. One thing I want to talk about too, besides the heat, is getting out on the beach, because as you well know, when it's this hot, you really need some kind of shoes, sandals, flip-flops, anyway, anything to keep you from getting a first-degree burn. Because I can tell you, yesterday our temperature in the sand, on the sand, was 125 at tops. Let me do it right now. We're not at the, obviously, it's only 11 a.m. here, so we're not even into the peak heating of the day, and we've got 109. Let me go over here, probably about the same number, 113. So we're up above 110 on that last reading, and we'll probably crack 120 again this afternoon. We're scanning out over the Gulf of Mexico. We've got some mid and high level clouds out here. Nothing imminent as far as storms. They're way off to the south and southeast and southwest. Nothing close by, but the models are trying to gin something up late this afternoon and this evening. showers and storms. The flood watch for the counties here in southern Mississippi along the beach and up in Pearl River, those 4 counties. Flood watch starts at 1 p.m., goes through Friday night. Same goes for the parishes in Louisiana, New Orleans, down to the Grand Isle area, Baton Rouge, over to Jennings, that whole area under a flood watch for the same time constraints this afternoon through Friday night. The water temperature, 87 degrees. Can you beat that? It's a little warm for my taste, but some people like it that warm. There is a bit of a breeze, so you'll get just an inkling of evaporative cooling, Bob and Marissa, but not with the dew point at 75. There's not much to evaporate into that kind of atmosphere. And we've got some young kids from northern Louisiana enjoying the bathwater like a lake along the Gulf here in Biloxi, Mississippi. Temperatures tomorrow and the next day will be cooler because of the clouds, probably will not crack 90, and then over the weekend we'll get back to more typical summertime weather with a slight chance of thunderstorms. The bulk of the rain seems to be heading towards Louisiana, but we'll get scraped here. We're looking at totals here as much as 3, potentially 5 inches. But again, there's going to be a very tight gradient. That's why the counties north of the coastal counties are not in the flood watch. As we go into this afternoon, we'll see what develops, and we'll be back on here this afternoon to show you what does fire up here in Biloxi later on this afternoon on Fox Weather. Marissa and Bob?
Mike, it's good to see you. We're going to check back in with your progress. Also, the progress of the burying of the kid behind you. We've been following that for the last couple of minutes now, and we know the tide doesn't roll at the beach that much, so it's not going to be a pirate situation where they leave the kid for the tide to come in. What does he have to say?
What is it?
Bryson.
Bryson, where are you from?
Louisiana.
Louisiana. Are you having a good time in the water?
Yes, sir.
You've been to the Gulf before, haven't you?
This is my first time.
First time to the Gulf?
Yes, sir.
First time to the Gulf? What? Oh, that you usually go to Florida. So you switched out Florida for Mississippi.
Yes, sir.
What do you think?
Fun out here.
Oh, it's hot out here, isn't it? Gotta get the mud bath. Hello, ladies. Are you enjoying yourselves? Got the matching suits? Cool. There you go. 3 kids enjoying the water. I love how the manners of these kids.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. No, sir. And you know, I don't get that treatment from Bob and Marissa. I don't know why.
Right.
But
Hey, listen, when I'm on the Jersey Shore, Mike, they go, yeah, how you doing? Mind your business. That's how I'm doing.
how you doing? Or you go, what's up?
Hey, how you doing? All right. How you been? It's good to see you. Mike,
How you
great
doing?
stuff
All
out
right.
there. We'll check
Hey,
back
good
in
to
with
see
you
you.
again in a bit, man. We'll talk to you in a bit. Thanks.
Good to see you, Marissa.
You
Okay.
too, Mike.
It's always good to have him on the broadcast. You know what I mean?
Get from here. I'm having issues hearing the communication. It died again. Not sure why. It was plugged in all morning, but that's the nature of live television. What we can tell you out here, it's another blistering hot day. Our heat index now 103, the actual air temperature at Keesler at 93. By the way, speaking of Keesler, the hurricane hunters mission was scrubbed again today, much like yesterday. They've got one task for tomorrow. I don't think they're going to fly for this one because it just doesn't have the ability to strengthen at this point. Now, it may get over to the Gulf briefly before it gets into Louisiana, whatever we have, and there's still that chance it becomes a depression before the blog and all that moisture moves on in. And that's where we have flood watches, not only for the parishes of Louisiana from about Jennings to Baton Rouge and then all the way south and east towards the mouth of the Mississippi. That includes New Orleans and the metro area there, Lake Pontchartrain, Seidel, and Grand Isle. And then the coastal communities here in Mississippi were also under that flood watch, kicking in about an hour at 1 o'clock Central and going through Friday night. So these are the areas that could get localized flooding, some flash flooding. Note that I said the coastal communities, just the counties on the Gulf Coast and Pearl River in Mississippi on the watch. North of there, no watches. There's going to be a very tight gradient between the haves and the have-nots in the total rainfall. We're talking, say, 3 or 4 inches of rainfall here in Mississippi, and some areas of Louisiana may get as much as 5 to 7 inches. We'll just see how it all plays out. And remember, these are low-lying areas, very flat, and we're not talking about salt water or surge flooding. We're talking about freshwater flooding. We've got one of those C-130s, one of those Hurricane Hunter aircrafts, getting their hours in like yesterday, doing takeoffs, going out and coming back. And we'll see this one come right at us at a very low altitude because Keesler Air Force Base is just about a 7 or 8 minute drive away without traffic. Isn't that a beautiful sight coming right over the Gulf of Mexico and then in to Keesler Air Force Base. And those are the guys and gals that go out and drop the instrumentation, the drop signs into the hurricanes and the tropical storms, and they're just trying to get some, boy, it looks like it's going right over the South Beach Hotel there. It did, not far above it. So there was a shot of the Hurricane Hunter aircraft, and again, the flash flood watch, or the flood watches rather, potentially flash flooding. And the model's still indicating in the short term that we've got storms that are going to bubble up and hit these areas in Biloxi, Gulfport, Pascagoula, Pass Christian, sometime, Bob, later on this afternoon through mid-evening, and then we'll have more showers and storms tomorrow night, and Friday. We'll just see how it plays out, but I just don't think here in Mississippi it's going to be an all-day kind of rain event tomorrow or Friday. And then as we get into the weekend, it'll be more summertime weather with hot weather, humidity, but the chances of rain drop down to less than 30%. Bob, without communication, I'm going to throw it back to you, and we'll be back on later this afternoon from Biloxi to keep you updated as we expect, as I mentioned, those storms to develop here beginning later on this afternoon here on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. Bob, take it away.
Storm specialist Mike Seidel, and he joins us now. Mike, a little bit cloudier than when we saw you earlier here on Fox Weather. Structure-wise, though, Invest 93L hasn't done a whole lot today, but a little bit of a window, maybe next 24 hours, that this could still become a depression.
It could, but the weather impacts won't change. Right now, we're starting to see some storms grow closer to Biloxi. We've got one out here, and you can go to the, we'll show you the skies first, then we'll go to the radar full, get a better idea. This one may clip us with some light rain. There's no lightning with that, but it's a darker sky. You can see the rain shaft on the other side of the buildings of the hotel. Then we look off the coast, and there's some serious rain and lightning out there off the coast of the Gulf here, well away from us. And again, these storms are generally moving west and southwest, rotating around this broad circulation. The heavy rain now on the radar. Notice the worst of the rain now over in Mobile Bay. We've got several marine warnings in Mobile County, down towards Baldwin County, Orange Beach, Alabama on the coast. Heavy rain, lots of lightning. So get indoors. Also rainfall to our west and to our southwest over towards the coast of Louisiana. So everything is rotating around that upper low, or I should say that broad circulation, and that's why we'll probably have some rain and storms coming in here over the next 4 to 5 hours. I just don't think it's going to be one of those days tonight or tomorrow where we're going to see rain and storms continuously. Maybe in parts of Louisiana where I think we have a higher risk of some localized flash flooding. The flood watch is now in effect through Friday night for the southern counties here in Mississippi and many parishes in Louisiana from Jennings east, including New Orleans and Baton Rouge, where some areas could pick up 5 or more inches of rain from this invest, or if it becomes a very weak tropical depression. But it's forecast to go into Louisiana tomorrow, so that would zero out the chances of it becoming a TD. Meanwhile, Ian, the only thing saving us today are the clouds now. You saw the sun earlier. Right now it's 93 and the heat index is 102, but we do have a decent Gulf breeze, stronger than yesterday, running at about 8 to 10 miles an hour. And we finally have some wave action out here after showing the Gulf over the past couple of days. It's been like a lake. So we're going to be around watching the radar and see what comes in. Biggest threat, though, by far with this will be the heavy rain and localized flash flooding. Ian?
Yeah, that little breeze is everything when you get a triple-digit heat index. But yeah, as you said, regardless of development here, folks need to be bracing for some of the heavy rain with all that tropical moisture. That's Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel. Always appreciate the insight. We'll be checking back with you in a bit. Thank you. That is where we find Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel, and he joins us now. Mike, how have the conditions been? I mean, you had a pond behind you yesterday. It does appear like the winds have picked up a little bit.
Yes, they have, and especially offshore, so we're getting the wave action propagating onshore. These are the biggest waves we've seen in 2 days, about 1-footers, and we look out to the south, and we've got some nasty storms out there. We had a shower come through here about a half an hour ago, barely even rain. It's gone. But I want to show you this, and keep an eye on the shot as we put the radar up, and you'll probably see some lightning bolts. Now, The radar, boy, what a mess, especially from Mobile Bay south, from Orange Beach to Pascagoula, and then fortunately out over the open waters of the Gulf of Mexico. We've got several marine warnings for waterspouts. All these storms are moving southwest at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. They're rotating around the broad circulation, Bob, so they're not coming towards land where we are in Biloxi and Gulfport. So we're lucking out because that's some mean storm action. I mean, just lightning bolts everywhere. Heavy rainfall. We likely have wind gusts 40 to 50 miles an hour and the risk of waterspouts over the water. That one cell that kind of moved through here kind of croaked. We got that cell just south of us that we're shooting right now live on Fox Weather, and almost seems like in the distance you could see a bit of a shelf cloud. So what do we got going in the near future is this. And whether we get any storms in the next few hours remains to be seen where we're standing. Obviously, they've had some heavy rain around Orange Beach and those areas, Fairhope, Baldwin, Mobile counties, and down towards the Gulf. We're now under that flood watch, which was issued yesterday, kicked in at 1 p.m. for the coastal communities of Mississippi and many of the parishes in Louisiana from Jennings and Baton Rouge, east and south. So that includes New Orleans. In fact, there's one shower right now, one storm that just came across the eastern side of Lake Pontchartrain, and that's heading towards the North Shore and over towards the Lakefront Airport. In the meantime, that is about it for the Big Easy. But the big push of moisture comes in tonight, tomorrow into Friday, into Louisiana, especially in those southern parishes. We're going to have live coverage from there beginning tomorrow morning before sunrise. Here, we're also under the same flood watch until Friday night. That's how they have it set right now. But looking at the forecast radar for tomorrow, we will get some showers and storms, but it's not going to be a continuous day of rain. Hit and miss. Maybe you get in some beach time. But one thing is for sure, Bob, the breeze off the water right now feels pretty good. It's still 93 inland at the airport, and on the beach, I'm surprised that it's 89. It feels cooler than that because without the sun and the breeze and the temperature dropping from the mid-90s to the upper 80s, and without the beam of sunshine, it feels cooler than 89 because of how hot it's been. Our heat index values again today were up around 105 earlier. So a bit of a break from the heat, the Gulf breeze, the outflow from the storms, and we watch and wait to see what happens in the next day to day and a half as this, whatever this ends up being, maybe just invest goes into Louisiana and look out in those low-lying flood-prone areas south of New Orleans.
Yeah.
Bob?
Yeah, we'll be watching that as those storms move on through and those rain rates. It looks like with the ones just offshore, they're intense, and we'll watch and see what happens when some of those are onshore in the hours to come. That's Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel. Thank you.